Hey guys, it's Morgan coming back to you with another weekly Shlog here at Highland Cycles in Montrose, Colorado. If you are new here, this is our weekly shop vlog or Shlog, where we show you all kinds of cool dirt bike, mainly wrenching kind of stuff. Every now and then we do have a mail time where we show you some new stuff that we're going to be testing. Speaking of that, that is coming later in this episode. But yeah, tool spotlights, tips and tricks, diagnosing, all the good stuff, guys. If you got here from another video about a ride or a race or testing or whatever, stick with us. This is our weekly thing. Comes out every Monday around 4 o'clock, and it's just a lot of fun. It's just a week in the life of a small shop in Western Colorado. So if that sounds like fun, hit the subscribe button, and here we go. All right, so first on the lift actually is this 950 Adventure. This is the leaky 350 from last week, which I found yet another little problem. I got the one thing solved. We got a new gasket, and anyway, don't worry, that's coming later. I think we might have it finally sorted out, maybe. Anyway, this 950 Adventure is an 05, 06. I don't know. It's carbureted. It's a 950. It's our good friend Aaron, who loves this motorcycle. Rides it all over the place. We did TBT valving on it. He loves that. Then on his last trip, everything was going well, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And the battery died, and anyway, it all went south. So put a new battery in it, got home, and I talked him through testing it on the on his trip out in the field. And he thinks he maybe got it tested right. I don't know. Doesn't matter. We're going to test it here. So we've got the regulator rectifier, which is fortunate that it's right here. We got some wires coming off of it. This, I believe, is... Anyway, we're going to pop it off of there and check. But I believe this is the stator wires coming to it. There's 3 yellows. And we got the positive going to the battery. So let's pull that thing off so we can actually see which wires go to where. We're going to test that regulator rectifier, so that's going to be the first thing we do, and then we're going to fire this thing up and run it and test the stator using those wires also. All right, guys, I finally got everything unplugged, and here's what we're looking at. These are the stator wires coming into the regulator rectifier. They are usually all yellow. There's usually 3 on a big bike like this. Sometimes they're white, but a lot of times they make them yellow. They come in, and then we have these, which are red leads. These are power leads going out, and then we have green or ground over here. So what we're going to do, and it's really hard for me to show you me actually doing it, but what we're going to do is we're going to put our meter onto diode, and what you're going to do is you're going to take your black lead, put it on these guys, one of these guys, and then you're going to touch the red one, and you're going to touch the green one, and then now it should read one way. It should have like 0.4 some odd ohm, maybe 5.5 ohms, and then if you flip those, it should be 0, because basically a diode is just letting power go one way, letting AC power current come in, but it won't let it come back, so it turns it from AC to DC. And then you're going to touch each one of those, and each one of and then flip them back and forth. And basically, if any of them have a reading both directions, that means it's bad, or if one of them has offline both directions, it's bad. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to set you guys down here, and I'll see if I can show you what's going on. But this is where I struggle with this channel, is trying to show this situation. So what I can do is I can just hook one of these in through the ground, and then that'll just stay there. So now I can go touch. So that's reading 0.002. That's probably not good, because that's not a normal reading that we should have. Now let's go backwards with it. Put the red lead in it. 0.002. 0.5. Okay. So there's definitely something wrong with the regulator rectifier, guys, because like you can see, that goes to 0.5 like I was hoping for. That goes 0.5 like I was hoping for. But then this one that I tested before that was 0.02 says 0.02. So right there, I don't really need to go any further to determine if something's wrong. But we'll go ahead and we'll switch over and we'll do the positive leads. And these are both coming out of here. It shouldn't matter which one. So we'll tuck our red lead in there. Okay, that all reads offline. Now we'll take our black lead in there. These should read. Yep. So everything else reads okay, except that one on the ground. So to me, that means there's something wrong here. But now what we can do is we can actually fire this thing up and we're going to test volts AC coming from the stator. So here, so what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, switch to volts AC, which is the little wavy guy on there, if you guys can see. And then we're going to touch the 2 left, 2 right, and then across the thing. So basically you're getting 3 readings while it's running and see if our AC volts are high enough. There we go. As long as these are all close to each other, all right, that was me being ridiculous. So, obviously those are the ones going to the things. Anyway, that was dumb. But that to me says, so at idle, we're over 15 volts AC, which is good. And I bet as we rev it, it'll go up, and maybe I can check that later. But we definitely need a regulator rectifier, so we're going to get that thing coming. The cool thing is we can just plug it in as it sits. Without, because it's a bit of a thing to get that actually all the way out. It's so interwoven in there. And then we can test it, make sure it's charging the battery. And we can do that by just taking the seat off, put DC volts setting on the meter, make sure it goes up and stays at 14, 15, you know, whatever volts as we rev it and all that good stuff. So, and I know it wasn't doing that because he did test that out in the field. So there we go. Problem's hopefully solved. At least figured out. We're going to get that part and then we'll go to it. So make sure you subscribe, guys. That is how we keep this channel going, is you subscribing, and also we try to get you to come back and see what's wrong with these things as we move forward. Also, guys, I have to take a quick moment to shout out the largest sponsor of the channel, Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Huge thanks to them. If you like those guys, you want to support us, please use the link in the description. For Rocky Mountain ATV MC, it helps us out. You save money, get free shipping, all that good stuff. Also, you can bookmark our homepage, which is www.highland-cycles.com. That's the way you got to bookmark it. You can't go to the link and then bookmark that. It won't keep the cookie in your... Anyway, bookmark highland-cycles.com, highland-cycles.com, and then when you want to buy something from Rocky Mountain, go to that bookmark, click the first thing you see, which is a picture of our page, and it goes there. Also, huge shout out to all the other sponsors of the channel, guys. They are making this possible. They're changing my life. I appreciate them very much. Yeah, get on to the next job. All right, next on the lift. So we're still waiting on a gasket. Oh, by the way, the 350, that ignition cover gasket didn't fix it. Well, it fixed that leak. The backside part that I didn't know if they were tight enough, that's fine. And now the slave cylinder's leaking again. And I took that off, and the gasket is all mashed up. Whatever. So a new gasket coming for that. That bike's driving me nuts. But we'll get it figured out. So now I got this 17350 SX. I think it's a 350. Doesn't matter. It's an SXF from KTM 2017. And it's been sitting a while, he said. Wants me to diagnose it. So I hit the button. Nothing. I figured, oh, battery's dead. It's got to be dead. It's old, whatever. So hooked known good battery up to it. Still nothing. So, all right. Well, let's see what's going on. Come over here. That's interesting. So this plug, this style Molex plug, is always the plug for the start circuit. I mean, they might use it in other things, but they always use this style. They always have this loop on here. I'm not sure. I really haven't dug deep into why they wire it like that. But they got wires coming in here, wire coming in there. Anyway, so it's interesting. The wires have all been cut, and it's been secured very well here, even though no wires go to it or from it. So then I traced this. It's got lots of electrical tape on it up here. It had it down here. Pulled this apart, and yeah, they use some little. These are actually good. They're the heat shrink with the solder in them, but they butchered it, I think. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this the rest of the way apart. Then we're going to try touching wires together and see if we can make this thing go. All right, guys, all I'm doing right now is I'm going to clip these wires back onto the factory side. Take the button out of the situation. We're going to strip these wires back and see if when we touch them together, if it'll try to do something. I already checked the fuses on the solenoid, the main fuses, it's all good. So, nothing. Not even a click. With this being so butchered, you'd think something would be, fuse would be blown or something. All right, we're gonna try an old school trick here and try to jump the starter solenoid and see if that does something. All right. So we have power. That's good, and sparks. Let's take the tank off and get in here and see some more wires. My guess is something else is broken. If you guys have never seen one of these, they are rad. You hook it up to the battery, a good battery that's hooked to the bike, and then you can provide power. You can actually check voltage. You can provide ground. It's really, really sweet. So what we're going to do is I'm going to lower this thing down, and then we're going to probe around at the start switch. Because it could be that the solenoid is just bad. We'll see. Might have something to do with the relay. It's weird because like I put power to that and I hold it down and it stops turning over, and then there for a second I was providing ground and it was working. So like that. All right, guys, I am not proud of this, but I am sending this bike down the line to the dealer. So let me go over what we found and didn't find. And this is honestly the weirdest thing. And maybe one of you guys is going to comment like you've had this problem and you're going to be like, oh, dude, you should have. Anyway, that's okay. They need work too. But so I was having a hard time. It wouldn't start with the button. The button to crossing the wires didn't work. I could put power. So back up. The starter solenoid, starter relay, the big part, the magnetic part, the solenoid, you know, that was actually working if you put the right power to the right wire and it would turn over. But then it was weird because what should happen is when this bike is just sitting here, there should be 12 volts from the battery coming up to the starter relay, and then it should stop right there. It should not do anything. Comes in on the white wire with a red tracer, I believe, and nothing happens. It's not draining the battery because there's nothing using that power, whatever. Then when you hit the button, it should supply ground to that relay that then triggers the big solenoid, the magnetic part of the solenoid, to then connect the starter directly to the battery. Anyway, what was happening was I would touch those wires. There'd be 5 volts on those wires. That's weird. Should be 5 volts anywhere. That's a weird number for anywhere on this bike. So except for maybe the ECU or anyway. So I was like, oh, that's odd. Then I would provide ground to the wire that should get ground when you touch the start button, and nothing would happen. Then I would supply power to that, because why not try it, you know? And it would go and turn over like once or twice, then stop. And then if I quickly went back to ground, it would go wee, 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 and turn over. And then every now and then it would turn over multiple times with power, with positive to that wire. And then if I took my power probe and I put 12 volts, I put it on the white wire with the red tracer and clicked 12 volts, like put power to it, nothing would happen. Then I'd take that off, and then I could go to those wires at the button and I could touch them, and beep, 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 it would turn over. None of this ever gave power to the fuel pump, or to the ignition system, or to the wire, you know, that should turn the traction control light on, or what, it should go green, it should do something, and none of that happened. So I started swapping parts. We've got this Husqvarna in the shop over here that is a known good working bike. So I started with the ECU. I thought, oh, maybe the ECU is bad because it's not making the connect, whatever. So swap that, didn't matter. I worked on both. You know, anyway, both worked on that bike, none worked on this bike. Then I called Takamoto, Mike, and I was like, dude, you've worked on probably more of these fuel-injected bikes than anybody I know. You know, what do you think? And so we're talking about it. He's like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, I know. He's like, well, what about the voltage regulator? I'm like, that's what I was thinking, but it seems like that's odd. He's like, it does seem odd, but maybe. So swap voltage regulators. Didn't do anything. Swap starter relays. Didn't do anything. It's beyond me at this point, guys. The one thing I didn't test was trigger coil or stator, but that should not matter at all, not even a little bit, for the start circuit. That shouldn't make any difference. And maybe somebody here knows better than me. I'd love to know if you guys have an idea. Like I said, I swapped every part that I could swap that made sense, other than going to the stator or anything like that. I eliminated the button from the system by cutting those 2 wires and just touching wires. I don't know. But I don't have a diagnostic tool to plug into this thing, so we are sending it to Davis, the service center, the KTM dealer. They'll plug into it. Maybe they've seen one of these things do this before already. I'm not going to waste any more of this gentleman's time or money on it, because I obviously am out of my depth. I don't like saying that. It doesn't feel good to say that as a mechanic, but I don't know. Other than replacing the entire wire harness, I don't know. I mean, it might be something that needs to happen, but it's so weird that, like I said, if I hit negative on the power probe on those white wires with red tracer, they'd pull up 0, just negative, like they were grounded. And then if I hit 12 volts, it would hold 12 volts. I seriously could hit it, click, put 12 volts to it, take it off, put it back on, it would show 12 volts. And then I'd touch the 2 wires up front, weep, 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 and then I'd let go of it. I also swapped the condenser. Someone's going to mention the condenser. I swapped the condenser because it seems like a condenser problem, because they hold power and whatever. Swap condenser. Didn't do anything. So, super bummed, but you know, sometimes you don't win. Unfortunately, we usually win here as mechanics, but every now and then we don't. So this one's going to go down the line, and will be a cautionary tale. I will be talking to the boys at Davis and this customer, because he's leaving his other little bike. He's got a Pee-wee 50 here that we're going to work on, and I'm going to talk to him and figure out what exactly is going on, because I talked to him and like literally nothing happened. The bike ran, he parked it, and then it didn't do this. Like, he parked it and let it sit for like since December, and it's, you know, what, May now, or June, so into May. Anyway, a long time. So I can see the fuel pump and all that stuff being gummed up and not working, whatever, but like the start system should work with a good battery. So anyway, comment below if you know what's going on with this thing. It'd be interesting to know, and I will update you guys when I hear. So make sure you subscribe, because if you have one of these things, we will definitely get you the answer once we get it, but I don't have it, unfortunately. So on to the next job. All right, guys, update on the 350EX or XCFW, whatever. This one that's been leaking, it's not leaking anymore. Finally. I'm checking again because I'm nervous, but because honestly, one of the times we've battled it, it sat here for like 2 weeks, not leaking, and then he took it home and it leaked. So, but yeah, we got it done. So let me give you the rundown on all the things we did and what I think the actual causes were. So, me, not before me. So, I took the outer cover off, which is this cover. Found that those inner bolts maybe were a little bit loose. I can't for sure say, so no big deal. Took that off, cleaned it up. The inside cover gasket was fine because it's the metal with aluminum or rubber on it. Torqued those to spec. Then I took this cover and I took it to our granite machined top that's flat. Surfaced it, made sure everything was nice and flat. New gasket on the slave cylinder, and we are good to go. All right, anyway, had a guy stopping by, say hi. So yeah, it's not leaking. Super happy about it, guys. Feels good to have that thing solved. Again, I keep checking because I want to know because it terrifies me, but I think we're good. So that thing's ready to rock. Let's see. Oh, next on the list is actually that XR650L. I'm going to be working on the carburetor, but I want to show you something. A little bit of mail time showed up just the other day. All right, so a guy who watches us online, Steve Byrne, sent me these things and a couple other things. I'm going to show you all of them here. These things are cool, man. I actually really like these. I think he calls these the Nut Flex, which is rad. He sells them in an 8, 10, and 13, and 8, 10, and 12. I'm going to pop up with the 13 since I ride a KTM. You need that every now and then. These are super cool and probably going to replace the kind of tri-handle thing I have. Well, probably not replace, actually. Probably just complement. I think that's just the wind. Probably just complement, because the other thing, the nice thing about the tri-handled thing is that it has Allens on it too, so probably not going to get rid of that. But this is cool because it'll get places where that tri-handle thing can't. Sometimes the Y on it kind of hits things as you're trying to turn. You got to do these tiny little turns. So this goes in tight and you can turn it, and then you can like that to finish it, and it's got a nice detent that holds it there, which is really, really cool. It's like a detent down inside here, how it works. And then, so there's your 8, and then you've got your 10 and 13 in here. And I just think these things are super cool, guys. You know, I like to carry tools when I'm riding because you never know who you're going to ride with or what kind of problem you're going to run into. So, yeah, pretty cool. There it is, bernios.com. Like I said, these were free. Thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate that. I believe your name is Steve. I think it's Steve. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Byrne. I really appreciate that, but I don't have an affiliate link. If you buy them, it's all you. I think they're really cool. I think they're worth owning. Really pretty sweet. Let me show you the other cool thing. Boom. The Bernios, I don't know how you pronounce it, but fuel tank anti-slosh foam, pretty cool. If you guys have looked into any kind of real racing, big time stuff, their tanks are always full of foam. Our dirt bikes are not. I don't really know why they haven't gone to that very much or ever. I think probably some guys are, but it makes sense. I mean, you've got many pounds of fuel sloshing back and forth. It's definitely going to affect the way the bike handles. Is it a game changer? No, but it's pretty sweet. The other cool thing is that he sent me is this is a gas gauge, because the problem when you put this inside your tank, then you can't tell where the level of the fuel is because it's black. Basically, the whole thing's black. It's really hard to tell. So he came up with this fuel gauge kit, and it goes on the outside, so it's going to be a little bit kind of funky, but I'm excited because I'm actually going to use this on our YZ build, on the Ultimate Enduro bike build, because it's going to have a big tank, like a really big tank, and as the gas gets low, all that weight sloshing around is going to make a difference, especially with my little kid running it. I mean, he's only 15, he only weighs like 120 pounds, so that weight sloshing back and forth, I mean, a gallon of gas is 7 pounds, so if you can imagine taking a 7-pound weight and trying to move it back and forth, it makes a difference. The other cool thing is the way he sends it, is it can be a bypass or a tie from the right to the left side. So if you have a tank that sits, over a frame, like this, this right side that doesn't have the petcock on it is always kind of a pain in the butt to get the gas over. Sometimes it bounces and splashes, but usually you end up with gas over there. And if you're running low, you have to tilt the bike over and do it. This allows you to do a bypass. It doesn't show it on here, but anyway, to tie them together. So, and then also have a gauge. So I'm super excited about that, guys. Going to be pretty cool. Huge thank you to you guys at Bernios. Again, I apologize, I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Go check them out. I'm going to call it bernios.com because it's more fun to say. Again, I'm putting this in my pack for tonight, the ride tonight, because I think this is pretty freaking cool. So anyway, on to the next job. All right, guys, so like I said over here, we were working on jetting on this, and I didn't show you the first time around because there's no big deal. I just can actually drop the bowl off of here and swap jets without taking the carburetor off. But I did notice that the carb wasn't quite all the way in this front boot. The back boot was kind of a little bit off, not like leaking air totally off, but not, anyway, wasn't perfect. So fixed that, put a bigger jet in it, and I took it out for a spin, and it initially felt better, but then as the bike warmed up, it actually got worse and worse and worse. I'm like, oh crap, this is like an electrical problem. And because that's usually what electrical problems do, unless you got the jetting super rich, it'll get worse as the bike heats up, but it was getting like way worse. So, and doing some weird, like just cut out things. Anyway, I went to go pull the spark plug and see what's going on, and the cap came off like this. This is just an insulator, but, and then it pulled off the wire, and then what you probably can't see down in there, maybe you can, I don't know. Focus. There we go. Is this like got black in there, like it was arcing out to this and causing so. And then if we look at this, it's focus again. You see that's bent. So I am in hopes that that is the problem. Of course, now I'm gonna have to change the main jet back because I think I went too big. So that's no big deal. I got a new one of those coming. I think we may have found a problem. And guys, quick note. I have spent hours and hours of my life, probably days of my life, chasing carburetor problems that ended up being electrical problems, and I've chased electrical problems that ended up being carburetor problems. So it's part of the job, unfortunately. Sometimes you get caught because it's like, it's a carb deal, and it should be a carb deal, and anyway, it's not. So yeah, hopefully that thing is all good to go once I get that. So stay tuned, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'm going to pull a 125SX in here and jet it. All right, guys, next job is actually going to be an XR650R Shock. It's over there in the box. Someone sent it to me. By the way, just so you know, if you guys want to send us stuff to work on, we're happy to do it. I know a lot of you guys live in places that maybe you don't trust the shop that are there, or you live in a place where there is no shop, or whatever. I am happy to bring stuff in from around the country. So, yeah, we've actually had a few shocks, and they're just for service. No, like, not revalve. Obviously, we'd love to revalve stuff for you, too, as a TBT shop. But, yeah, we have people send us stuff from all over. We got a motor here, a KX motor from, I don't even know where, 100. that sadly went swimming and needs all the parts now. But anyway, also, quick note. I don't know if I mentioned it at the beginning of the video. I know I talk about Rocky Mountain ATV MC and how much I love them and how much I want you to use the link. But I want to make sure I mention, at least every time I mention them, that I want you to shop locally. And again, with the Shock thing, please go to your local shop. If you don't like them, you don't trust them, whatever, then talk to me. Or someone else. There's lots of amazing mechanics in this world. But please, please, please go local first, because it's really important to keep places like this going so that you actually have a place to go, a place to hang out, people to ride with, all that good stuff. So anyway, real fast before we get to that Shock, I want to show you guys something. This is the slave cylinder for my KTM. And I don't know... Let me see if I can... There we go. See those grooves right there? Those are not supposed to be there. This is where the metal was coming from. That's where the aluminum was coming from. Here's the piston. The piston doesn't look terribly different. If it does, if you'd seen another one. This is a sharper edge here than normal because it's just so worn down from this thing. I don't know why it happened, and maybe someone on here can explain to me what on earth made that either cock or wear or whatever. I don't know, but it definitely is no good. So actually, just looking here, look at this, guys. Look, I don't know, this is, I'm seeing this for the first time. See right there, that's flat. I don't know why that, I've never had this off the bike until I took it apart. And I definitely didn't hit that with a hammer. Maybe that is what caused the whole thing. Maybe on install, maybe manufacturing. I don't know. That's interesting. Craziness. So, anyway, there we go. There's the failure. Why it happened, I still don't know, but there we go. All right, let's go grab that Shock. All right, guys, we got the XR650 Shock up here. Guy sent it just like this. No spring, no nothing. Save some money on weight and all that stuff. So let's get this thing apart. Let's see if it's got any nitrogen in it. I don't think so because of the way this is collapsed. I don't know how that would be if it did, but we'll just pull the valve core anyway. Oh, there we go. So it's definitely got some air trapped in it because that is spring loaded. You guys come on over here a little closer. All right, if that's gonna be that way, let's see if we can get the bladder out first, because that will release pressure too. So actually, you know what might do it faster would be to take the high speed out. There it goes. There we go. I'm just dripping this on the ground because I'm using Ultrasorbs from Medline. Big thanks to Brian Lynn for those. He sent us a whole bunch of them, and they are awesome. They're just, everybody else calls that kind of thing of a pig mat. Same idea, but they're bigger, and yeah, they're freaking awesome. So I'll see if I can put a link. I mean, Brian just sent them to me to be nice. I don't know if we can even buy them like customer wise, but I'll put a link in there for Medline if you can. That's who I use, that and for gloves, so they're rad. Huh. Look at that, guys. That's not supposed to happen. So better tighten that up. Go clean this all up in the parts washer. Be right back. All right, got everything cleaned up. Now, I know you guys are laughing at me. I just mentioned gloves and I'm not wearing any. I'm terrible at it, but I can't ever feel anything when I have gloves on. So I don't know. I need to wear them more often. You guys are right. Just give me a break. If I die, I die. All right, guys. So I went to dig around and look for a seal. We didn't have the seal. It's kind of that funky thing I showed you. But I called our local Honda shop, Davis Service Center, and they had a whole seal head in stock. And I think these things are seriously like $25 or $30 for the whole thing, which is crazy. So super excited about that. We're going to go ahead and slide that on here. And let me show you something, guys. I normally use the seal bullet thing because it's really nice and I like it. But if you look here, there's a chamfer on there. So here, focus. There we go. You can see that chamfer. So you don't have to use a seal bullet. Just use some grease on that thing and we'll be good. And just to lube. So cap on, new seal head on. Reinstall valving. Use our pliers, wrenches to get this thing out so that we don't mar anything up. These things are so sweet because they clamp like this instead of coming in from the edges. And they're flat and not serrated at all. So there's our bladder. Honestly, looks pretty good. We're going to clean it up really good, make sure it's good. Take it. All right, got her all cleaned up, happy. This is all nice and shiny again. Now, I'm going to get our high-speed compression valve back in here. All right, guys, I always take a little bit of grease, put it on this inside rim. There's a little groove in there that's going to go around this and drop down into that. We want to make sure that's greased up so that it seals well. There we go. And a little bit of grease on here and just a little bit on this outside. The inside you can kind of go nuts because none of that's going to touch the oil or anything like that. This, you're going to get a little bit in there. It's not going to hurt anything to have it, but just to make sure it's all good. This up tight. There we go. Oh, we at TBT and me like to use KYB as SC1, I think. It's their 3-weight shock fluid. Now we're just gonna pump this sucker up and down, bleed it really good. Make sure, I forgot actually at the beginning, make sure we back our clickers out, count where they are. He actually had it written down. On this style shock, we're just going to keep going up and down until we get all the bubbles out. It takes a while because they do like to hide down here in the high-speed valve and all that stuff, but if you go, take your time, tap on it every now and then, take a hammer, kind of that kind of stuff, you'll get all the bubbles out. And all of you super anal retentive OCD people, no, not all of the air will come out of here. There will be some left in there. It won't be absolutely perfect. First of all, I don't know how you'd vacuum bleed this thing because there's no fitting for the high speed or anything like that that I know of. Maybe you could make one. Someone out there, oh, just get a CNC mill. And anyway, here's the reality. this thing and all shocks, I don't care which one of these things, even when they're brand new, after not that much time, small amounts of nitrogen bleed into the shock oil, and no one out there can tell the difference. So as long as you do a really good job and get most of it out of there, you will be just fine. All right, got the air out now. We're going to lift that up. We're going to bring our seal head down in. It's going to make a little bit of a mess again. That's why we have the ultra sorbs down there. And hey, how's it going?
Good, you?
Good. What's going on?
Well,
All right, guys, got it all back together. I got 150 psi in it. We tested it. Basically, the way I tested, guys, is just want to come down. I don't know. I can do it here. There we go. Make sure it goes out without any ticking or any weird noises that would indicate air being in there. So I think we are good to roll. I'm gonna reset his clickers, box this thing up, and ship her on back. All right, guys, that's the end of the week, end of the Shlog. I am actually getting ready to film the first actual mechanical video with the YZ250 build bike. That's getting ready to happen right now. Zach is, who knows what he's doing. You guys are wondering if he still works for me. I think someone asked if he still works for me. He does. He's just real quiet. And I will say, for now. No, we're very happy to have Zach back. Anyway, that video is getting ready to happen right now. Make sure you subscribe. If you've subscribed because of the YZ stuff, don't worry, it's coming. I'm going to try to get one of those out a week if I can. Fingers crossed, we'll see. I might be waiting on some parts and processes to be done because I'm going to do some cool stuff to this thing. So anyway, thank you guys for sticking around. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. Maybe consider giving us a subscribe because that would be really, really cool. Also consider using any of the links in the description. Rocky Mountain ATV, Onyx Off-Road, First Track Motorsports, all those guys. They're amazing, amazing, amazing people. They support me. I support them. You should support them too. All right. I love you. We'll see you in the next one. And as always, I hope that what we're doing here at Highland Cycles is inspiring you guys to work on, but more importantly, get out and ride your dirt bikes!